Hey everybody, so today we're going to be looking at an M3A1 game, and we're also going to be talking a little about how to have an impact on the game itself when you're playing it. This is an interesting one because as you can see, there's 2 points, A and B, and we kind of spawn pretty far away from both of them. And the reason we do this is actually because of, if you look at Corellia as a map, it's one of the few maps where what you can do is you can spawn, like you can basically go anywhere you need on the map without being seen if you know the right routes. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to take possession of this like central hill area, and usually this is where you want to control because you have the most sight lines to the most places. You also have lots of annoying nooks and crannies that you can try to use to pester the other team if they try to retake it, all that good stuff. So like, that's essentially our plan, is we're going to try to get to this dominant position. And this is where I want to kind of contrast this a little with, like, I had a game in Magog 2 where I got 5 kills, and I went on a similar kind of pseudo-flank. But in that game, I really wasn't impactful. I simply took too long to flank, and the position I was occupying just wasn't very good. So even though it was like a 5-kill, 0-death, the reason it went well was because my team had actually done all the work for me. Like, they had already won by the time I got into position, and I was just shooting people in the back who didn't shoot back. So, in this game, we do actually manage to get into an impactful position. You know, we're only 2 minutes into the game, we have control of the central hill. You know, this is about where we want to be. And we're moving to overlook, like, the key movement lanes on the map, which is also pretty important. And this is where we spot this cruiser who somehow doesn't spot us. I also get hung up on this flag. But, whatever. It was a weird engagement on both ends, but it worked out. So initially, I kind of go up to this, like, I check my left, I check my right. Like, what I'm doing is I'm making sure nobody's contesting me on the hill before I try to use it. And here we're trying to get some shots because we see the enemy is advancing on our team. So we're just going to take a few quick shots to try and take out some of these enemies. And if you notice, like, this is where we kind of want to talk about where to aim on enemy tanks. What we're really trying to do with a lot of these shots is we're trying to take out crews, right? We're trying to take out shots that can kill the most crew in a single shot because a lot of these are flank shots. A lot of these tanks have like 1-man or 2-man turret crews, so a shot to the side will go through both crew. Assuming you go a little bit under the turret itself so it doesn't get stuck on the breach. And here's where I kind of decided to abandon that middle position. And I do want to talk about that. So the reason I'm abandoning the middle position, even though I got a few kills, was because my team is about to get overrun in spawn. So it's a much higher priority to watch. Like, I'm basically removing that line of sight entirely. I'm not worried about the middle of the map. And what I'm actually looking at is like the movement up to our spawn. So I'm basically purely defensive at this point. And I've also, like, I think I took the opportunity somewhere in here to do a quick range find just to get a good idea of the ranges. So the ranges we're generally working at. So now we knock out his engine. So now we just aim for the turret, knock his crew out. You can see the damage model on the right-hand side of the screen. Like, the first shot to the back disabled the engine. Second shot we went to the turret, got the turret crew. This nice cluster of rocks also makes it less likely that an enemy will sneak up on us without us hearing them because it significantly limits the line of sight coming from their side. So we're mostly just trying to control the central hill here, but we're also controlling it in a very defensive fashion. We're cutting off the line of sight from their spawn, from a lot of their major sniping positions, and we're just looking for people trying to push our spawn. We're also in a position where we have trees and we're in a shadow, which is kind of important if you get attacked by aircraft, which does end up happening. But this is the kind of thing where it's like, if you want to pull a team back when the team is not doing particularly well, you need positions like this to try and alleviate some of the spawn pressure. And yeah, the enemy's up in planes, as are our team. But yeah, I did a quick range find, which if you have a position like this, as soon as you get like a lull in the fighting, I would always recommend doing a quick range find. Just to get an idea of like what distances you're dealing with. So in this particular fight, I've determined that like basically the longest shots I have are about 400 going up to like obviously 0. So that's pretty viable. And 400 for the 37 on this gun is quite good. That one, we hit a little low, but like the shrapnel from the AP got everybody anyway, so we're not super worried about it. And here we're kind of taking advantage of the stabilizer and the fast firing gun to like poke in and out a little against enemies that are trying to contest us. That one was a little too, like, there it is. I was like, that one was a little too far to the side, but we managed to correct. And now we're kind of looking at the enemies that are capping point. Up to 7 kills, so obviously we're having a bit of an impact. We have to stop the cap, but we also have to stop the spawn from just being stuffed. And there we go. The combination of the rock and the difficulty in seeing us from the trees did help a little with avoiding that plane strike. Like, having like tall terrain next to you makes the forces the bomb strikes to be a little more precise. Like, it's not guaranteed protection, people can just do it anyway, but limiting their ability to see you and forcing them to make more precise shots to actually hit you is a pretty good method to limiting the impact of bombs. And there we go. Alright, so we knock out the guy on cap. So we've alleviated that pressure. And we know there's some tank destroyers over to that side. Up to 8 kills. We've had a pretty good impact on the game so far. Like, I do a quick check to make sure my team has that, and it turns out they do. And at this point, we've kind of allowed the rest of our team to, like, push up and take this central hill, so a few other people have availed themselves of that opportunity, which obviously helps a lot. We take out that guy. Again, we go straight for, like, the line that gives us the most crew. And this is just something you kind of have to learn while playing. Like, what line will give you the most crew with a single shot? Knock out that little L3. Nice center mass. But it's just, like, figuring out where the crew are. And this is where I don't know what I'm getting shot by, so I immediately move forward. And it looks like we're stuck. We're actually not stuck. Although, if memory serves, it does take me a minute to figure out how the hell to get out of here. But, I mean, we're up to 10 kills. We prevented the cap. Stewart doesn't quite have the power to get all the way up that incline. So you have to kind of angle it around these rocks. There it is. But now we have another position. And the reason I don't like this position is because, honestly, it's a little more exposed. But we do, like, again, we have to get the enemy off the cap. And I've said before a few times that, like, the Stewart is kind of an overpowered vehicle. And the reason I think it's a little overpowered is because the armor's good enough to catch poorly placed shots and keep, like, machine guns off of you generally. The mobility is actually pretty solid. You can get where you need to go pretty easily. The gun is fast firing and has good pen. It doesn't have the greatest internal damage, but the rate of fire and the pen and the stabilizer help it a lot. And this is this T28. And we're trying to go for... Like, the reason we're not taking more shots than the T28 is because we don't want to give away our position more than we have to. We don't have a great fallback right here. All we can really do is try to protect our turret, which is not as consistent. And we managed to get a nice ammo detonation there. That was probably not the best place shot, but it turns out he had ammo there, so it all works out. We're up to 11 kills. 3,000 score. As a low-tier match, this obviously isn't the best example, because not a lot of these opponents have the best awareness, but it does at least show some of the core principles of, like, how to have an impact on the match. And, of course, we knock out the AB. And the AB, we kind of just aim to get the gunner. If we get the driver too, okay, because it only has 2 crew. You only have to knock out one of them. And we're up to 12 kills. And I think this is where I make my big quote-unquote mistake. Like, it doesn't end up costing us the match or anything crazy, but I do start shooting way too early at these guys that don't see me. And there's actually 2 tanks that you can't really see, but it takes them a while to range me, but they do end up landing the shot and taking me out. That being said, we're up to 12 kills. We prevented 2 caps. Like, we opened up the middle of the map for our team. We opened up the spawn for our team so they could actually use it. And we do end up getting the win. Although I kind of troll for the rest of this and don't actually do that well. Like, I think I only up to 13 kills and, like, 2 assists. But anyway. But that's just part of the reason why I like the M3A1. Why I feel like at low tier is just that stabilized gun is really effective. The mobility is really effective, and the armor is just enough so that as long as you're not putting yourself in like too aggressive spots like this, like it does still basically work. So I actually love the Stuart. I think the Stuarts are fantastic tanks. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice day, everybody.